Okay, hi beautifuls and beloveds, how are you? Part 4 to Scheherazade, modern day slavery tale. Oops, shoot. That was an accident. So yeah, so Disney did an attempt at making, thank you.
Yeah.
We're bouncing my heart around. A modern day type of town that wasn't modern, but it was kind of quaint looking.
Yeah.
And you know, what a cute idea. I once said, gee, I wish I lived in a place like Disneyland where everything was just so beautiful and perfect and the streets are clean and all of this and that. But I wouldn't want it purposely conjured because that's kind of creepy. Because then everybody's just really acting and it's not really real. So, you know, I take it back. But it was a very interesting story to find, and I don't know if it was a real story, you know, it could have been fake news, but it sounds like something they would do too.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. Yeah. So, this whole thing with modern day slavery, that's what I'm going through. And they don't want you to know about it. Why? Because then if they can suppress me and be successful, you're next. Yep. They want to know everything I'm doing. They want to know what I think about everything. They want to know where I'm going, who I'm talking to. You do know about that one story we shared, right? We were walking down the street and gonna get our regular coffee and tea, and then one of our friends like, hey, what did he say, are you mad at me or something, or didn't recognize me, or I don't know. I'm going around with sunglasses incognito with my jacket, hat, trying to, anyway, these people know who we are and it doesn't matter what I do.
It was that we didn't recognize him, supposedly.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, so we looked back as we passed, and we just started chatting, and then somebody on a bike using their cell phone, aiming it at us, trying to get us on video, obviously, because they kept aiming it, and they're going one way, and we're over here, and then somebody else brushes up alongside my friend's vehicle. They're trying to listen and intimidate, and I'm like, get the hell out of here. You know?
Yep.
It's like, excuse me. So we had to keep stopping the conversation, but then that guy, to say what happened to that guy that was using the phone.
He crashed right in front of us.
It's not funny that he crashed, but it's like it foils the enemy's plan and just toppled right over. And I'm like, are you okay? Can I help you?
Yeah.
It's everybody that we're with and that's around us is seeing this crap happen too. Not like they try to be discreet. They're very obvious. They make more and more mistakes. You know, it costs a lot of money for them to do this, and it's been a thing that's been implemented throughout the years. Like I said, the fans, you know, they're not fans. They're people hired to watch people who have power and money. Wouldn't want them getting out of control, would you? Like me. I'm not in your control. I don't have any contract signed with you guys. I don't know who you are. Get out of my friggin' life. I can't stand you people. Rotten as hell is what you are. And if I don't make this happen and make this work and I don't make my voice heard with this stuff, really, you're next. If it's not being done to you already. Can't say I didn't warn you, but more and more people are knowing that this is happening to me. It's not like it's not known. But let's check it out. Just use your brain for a second. The tech corps already said and admitted, and there's so much articles and evidence on this that they listen to us. Oh, but we're just using it so we can provide better searches for you, right?
That's what they were saying, yeah.
Search results for you. If they're listening to you, what else are they using that stuff which they're listening to for? I know. Teacher, I know. This is not hard to figure out, my beloveds and beautifuls. Not hard to figure out. Because I was thinking about that. It's like, wait a minute, how could they know? And they're terming it AI, right? Well, the word itself contradicts itself. Because anything artificial can't be intelligent. Artificial intelligence, fake intelligence. The intelligence doesn't exist. Tech companies, we're just pulling the wool over our eyes. There's no such thing of it. We just make it look like it. Because they want to usher in the robot so bad. You know, a lot of these people are just kids that never really flippin' grew up. Great. We need our imaginations and to fantasize. That is how you solve problems. But you have to force it into reality. So you take that which is fantasy and you put it into reality. It has to change shape, because what's in here and what you're imagining will never be manifest here. It can't. It just can't, because our minds and our imaginations are so much more fanciful than what we can actually create. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know. Doesn't matter, does it? So these are just people who want to play God. These are just people who want to control things for their purposes. Some of them are sick. It's like, holy beans. What's being done to me is sick. Who are the sick minds behind this? You know, I was a young girl. There's a lot of connections, and we figured out so much. It's amazing what you can do when you just communicate and you research, and we did all these things. I was forced into this modern day slavery, and I'm like, you know about my grandfather. You know about this, right? I told you the story already in part 1. What else is there? So I had an interesting conversation with my father, and there's history there too. Not appropriate at the moment for social media, but we'll make it known. All this is coming out in the media in time. So I was like, wow, really? Really, Dad? Why? And it turned out that, you know, other members of my family knew about it too. I'm like, oh, well, that kind of explains it. It's like, what kind of deals did he make behind the scenes, you know, to kind of enslave the rest of the girls in his family? Was this a mark? Was red ribbons? Did my grandmother accidentally touch upon something, you know, button pressing without realizing it? Is this how they mark the kids that are trafficked? Who's going to ask these questions? I am. So, no duh, if this is their symbol, and here I am saying this was on my underpants, and I'm just going to flag it around out in public and say, I'm not afraid of this anymore, not knowing what it might stand for behind the scenes, unbeknownst to me, and maybe unbeknownst to my grandmother, or maybe she knew. Maybe my grandfather knew. I don't know. They're not here. I can't ask them. Boy, I would love to. All I know is that I was raped. All I know is that these stupid things were attached to my diapers and training pants, and my mother's too, apparently. So, you know, and I'm here like, well, you know, I don't want this to be a bad thing for me in the rest of my life. I want this to symbolize something good. So in my Red Ribbons dance, right, which you all can just look on this channel and watch it. 2 versions, a censored version, which I don't really like, but I like it because it was my first, you know, and it was a special gift. But I really like the other versions better because it's what I wanted to do. But right at the end, I take them puppies out and we all go like this at the end, you know. And then what I do at the end is I wrap it around here and I go like this, and I go like this, and I go like this. That means this doesn't have that negative power over me anymore. And those around me, who were my enemies, thought it might be cute to start having people, celebrities, wear red and do, oh, she doesn't like red because I made a video saying why I didn't particularly prefer this color, but they didn't watch the second installment of it, which said how I got over this too. So then they started doing all this red stuff, and it was all done digitally and using digital modern means. This is modern day slavery, where the attack of the psyche, trying to attack my psyche, comes into play. So all these people going around trying to cherry pick from this, I take great offense to it, and legally, I'm going to make sure you pay for it. We're done. No more. Every single thing you take, you're getting tagged in everything, and we're going to just show the public how you're stealing from us and from me personally. So I think you better stop, because it's going to get too ridiculously obvious, because we're going to start doing it. And we don't care. I'm not afraid of you. You guys are just pencil-neck geeks that never grew up. Well, you're going to have to start growing up because things are going to get real for you. Anyway. So, the red ribbons, you see? Really, is this what they're doing? Maybe that's why they're really kind of trying to turn it around. And maybe that's why all this time, you know, how does this involve AIDS and everything? We support doing research on AIDS. Although just take benzene out of water, not my research. I can direct you to who researched it. Amazing, amazing scientist. Take benzene out of water. There's a lot of benzene in the water in Africa. Get that benzene out of their water. You want to see, and there's other things that come into play, but mostly benzene. I think you guys can solve the AIDS crisis a lot sooner than not. You know, but nonetheless, we still donate, we still help, and then, you know, we don't do, what is this? This is the red ribbon for AIDS, right? We don't do this. This is not our thing at all. Nice. This is actually some weird Catholic thing, isn't it? There was something that's shaped like this. I gotta look into it. Anyway, you know, I'm not saying that this happened, but why use red? It wouldn't be to deflect and redirect from possibly somebody tagging little children that were being trafficked or harmed or abused. I don't know. Just asking. But there's plenty of research. It is going to be completely eradicated, the AIDS virus. Like I said, just get rid of benzene and other things, because the virus can't, that's what the virus needs to thrive, as I understand it. Like I said, it's not my research. And I'll be darned if I let somebody else supersede or override the true source of where that research came. So I'm going to be on the lookout for that too, and promote that as well, because it's a no-brainer. And fine, if there's medications, vaccines, fine, use that too. I think all of it helps, you know what I'm saying, if it eradicates a disease. But I'm just really kind of curious about it. I don't know. All I know is my Red Ribbons story and what I deem this to mean. We do nonprofit stuff, and we do galas. We do as much as we can, raising funds, and we do the best we can. even though we have people trying to suppress us. And then you have to ask, why are they trying to suppress us? And why here? If I were a business person, and you know, you can be a business person and do bad business or illegal business, but let's just say, and I don't do illegal business, we don't do illegal business, but let's just say, if I were an illegal business person and I saw somebody say, holy crap, we use this, or this could be purple, or this could be green, it doesn't matter, or maybe it's just this, and I saw somebody else using it for good, and that's a different narrative than I want it to be, I would get upset. And I would probably do all these horrible things that they're doing to me to suppress and to rearrange the narrative and dilute and parallel what we're doing. Oh, in time, and it's happening now because we're getting on our Twitter, what the heck, I don't even know, what is it called? Twitter, I hate this stuff. I don't know what it's even called. And we're just going to start tagging, it's so easy, and say, hey, that element's from here, of ours, this element's from, yep. You guys are done. This is in poor taste. Stop it. Do away with it right now. You don't even know what you guys are doing, didn't even research it, just trying to dilute this, perhaps. We'll find out. We found everything else out. But like I said, you know, modern day slavery, what if this did mean that to these bad guys? We've been watching a lot of older videos and stuff. Somebody's been helping us, and we have found a lot of references, right?
Yeah, we have.
Especially to this, especially dating way back, and I'm like, that's interesting. It wasn't about my story, obviously, and it wasn't referencing my underpants, how my grandmother did this, and me taking it off, me heralding this. You know, I'm the poster child for all this stuff right here, the good. And we're just kind of putting it all together, and I'm pretty sure that we pissed off the bad guys who were probably making money off of doing exactly what I said. It seems to fit. Not afraid. Not even slightly afraid. Too many people know our story. Too many people are getting wind of this. And by the way, if there are people that we haven't sent these dissertations to, we're going to make sure that they do get them, because it makes them culpable, right?
That's right.
Yeah, because we showed you how our mail was interfered with. Well, that's a federal crime to do that. You know, I know why. They didn't want our communication getting to the right people. It's pretty bad, huh? So, yeah. They don't want their money taken away from them. Oh, I understand that. I don't want my money taken away from me. But I'm doing good things, legitimate things, legal things. They are not. And they don't want to let it go, which, you know, I would understand that. Let's take it a step further. You know what a front is? It's like, this is what they're putting out there for, like, the marketing, for the, where they're filtering the money through. But back here is exactly what they're hiding. It's a facade that protects what's really going on behind the scenes. So the money is filtered through here. Not necessarily is this front actually making the money. It's here, but they need a way to filter it through. You know. Look, it's not going to be long before we actually figure out every little thing and connect every single little dot. We have to. We have to, because I don't have a life. Apparently, my whole life was destroyed and conjured and directed. And they lost track of me a few times because of the name change. Because I'm married, adopted, whatever happened to me. Which is good, I guess. So I had brief moments in my history where I can see, oh, they left me alone until they found me again. And I'm like, just leave me the hell alone. So this is what I'm like, what did my grandfather do? Did he sell the rights to my life? He can't do it, that's not legal. But, if my grandfather raped me and my mother, let's put it this way, I don't think he was a good person on any level at all. No, I know he wasn't. My dad and I had a very nice conversation. And I'm like, great. It would explain everything. Did he like say, okay, that was the propitiation, the sacrifice? I ain't nobody's martyr or sacrifice, and I'm gonna stop this crap right now. Okay, I hope very important people hear this video, this whole series, because I'm not agreeing to it. I'm not doing this, and I'm stopping it. So for me and my household, not only do we serve the Lord, but we're going to make sure that my generation is freed from this thing. And I find it interesting that there's strange stuff, and people that were put around me and in my life, they kept saying, have you ever heard of a generational curse? Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Like, WTF are you talking about? Right? I never heard of that before. And they're like, oh, it's in the Bible. It really isn't in the Bible like that. This is what is in the Bible and what isn't in the Bible. What isn't in the Bible is saying that you're going to have a rotten life because the people came before you, meaning people in your family created a curse to occur to you, and God cursed you. No, that's not what the Bible talks about, the sins of the father, that whole verse. And that's kind of where this spin-off, takeoff from that scripture came from. And like, why would God curse an innocent person who had nothing to do with the crime? Well, what the Bible is talking about is that if somebody in the head of household does something, like the father, the grandfather, it can have repercussions unintentionally, and I'm understanding this better now too, because in the past I understood it differently. But as knowledge and as my truth and the world's truth arises and makes itself known, I can understand the scriptures better. But it means that it can unfortunately pass down the curse seemingly to the next person. So like me being raped, my mom being raped by grandfather, her father, my grandfather, it would then cause us to probably have certain character traits that could actually propagate the curse further. Well, with my mom, she drank a lot. With me, I decided the buck stops here. That also happens too. God always raises up the one. And in this sense, I am the one for this. For sure. How do I know it? Because I'm doing it and I've lived that. It's factual, evidence, proven, I did not have a drinking problem. I didn't have a drug problem. I didn't have a problem with anything. I just said, this is bad, let's fix it. The odds were against me. But that's how I know that God raised me up to do that, because it took an act of God to keep me from being like my mother, because you learn your behaviors. You understand that? So with that whole generational curse, well, God raised me up to stop it in my family with truth. And this is bigger than just my family, because if what I'm saying is 100% true, I am the poster child, in a sense, and the perfect person to herald this and to say, the abuse is stopping here. And I figured out the truth based on my history, based on the truth too, based on people who are helping us and giving us these clues and saying, hey, how about looking here? How about this? How about, and then we're able to put these things together and figure it out, basically. So this whole thing, I had several people in my family talk about this generational curse thing, and it was coming across as if I had to just suck it up and take it. I was always going to be, how can I say, Ziggy. I'm born under the black cloud, never able to really succeed, and just when I'm about to break through this quote-unquote fake bullshit glass ceiling thing, that's just a term made up by these corporations to try to keep people suppressed and to think, oh, just like Christians have this, generational curse, this is your life, oh well, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just not buying it anymore. Oh, I believe the Lord Jesus is Savior, I believe God and all of that, but I'm not believing in a lot of this kind of hyper-Pentecostal spin-off things that are coming out of the Bible and just kind of running rampant to mind control people. You see how that's all done?
Yeah.
So let's just say they are also in the 7 pillars of society. One of them would be religion. And I'm like, so these people were planted and injected into my life. It's very interesting because we would go to certain churches and we got to know the leadership, and we were always raised up. We didn't try it, but people see that we have strong leadership skills. We love people. We know how to get the job done, and we work. We don't get greedy. We don't, we just work, and we serve. We don't become servants or slaves now. Don't misunderstand. I'm already being done. That's done to me by the corporations, right? But how can I say it? And we would think, okay, so this is the pastor, this is their wife, this is the, and we would get comfortable, and then all of a sudden the rug would be pulled out, and it would be the same pattern all the time. And I'm like, that person that should have been there was better than the person who took over. How do I know this? Because the person who took over, they were kind of weird, weren't they?
Yeah.
It was just like, huh? Are you serious? And they got wackier and wackier, and I'm like, oh Lord. So then now we have a corrupt church story to tell. And it's in my books and stuff like that, a lot of it, and it was tied up nice and neat and done. But I think that these people were kind of actors, real life actors, and it was all BS. Don't you think?
Yes.
Looking back, because I'm like, wait a minute. That looks staged. And I was really young, and I was young to the Lord, and young in marriage, young mom, young everything. So when you're younger, unfortunately, people are naive. They just don't know, and they're innocent and trusting. And so I had to grow out of that and grow up, which I have plenty times over, but I was like, Now this is not to say that everybody who's considered Pentecostal, Christian, Jewish, Catholic, or Protestant, any of that faith, they're all crazy, and no, it's not. They're not all crazy. They're not all fake actors. But we have seen it propagate, and I'm like, where are these people coming? Why so much? And why do we keep having the same experiences over and over again? It is biblical that God prepares you. And we see stories sorry, I'm going to sneeze. And you see stories of it where God uses stepping stones one after the other until you get into a bigger stepping stone. Like video games, right? You start with lower ranking. Can I use this?
Go for it.
This is his.
Yeah.
Lower ranking bad guys. And you fight them, and then you get to the bigger ranking ones until you get to the super boss. Well, you have to strengthen yourself along the way to be able to battle them. Well, God kind of uses that. It's hind's feet on high places. You go through the tragedy and the trial until your hind legs are very strong and you can leap up on the mountain. And that's actually a book by Hannah Hurnard. And you're able to, like Much Afraid, her character in the book, you're able to leap like a gazelle on the mountains of troubles and not have a problem anymore. And so she got that based on using an analogy, allegorical tale, like how I do as well. And she made a beautiful, I'm going to sneeze, man, a beautiful book. Oh. There's another one, something Mountains of Spices too. It's really good. Pilgrim's Progress is another type of book like that.